It's so easy every day living in Lubbock, the one and only LBK.
'Cause we got rock and roll, we got the blues, we can honky tonk in our cowboy boots.
And through the dust in the rearview mirror, you can see our rhythm and roots. And through the dust in the rearview mirror, you can see our rhythm and roots. Welcome to another episode of LBK Rhythm and Roots, Lubbock's only podcast for musicians by musicians. I'm your host, Jason Robertson. This is my co-host, Rhonda Taylor.
Hello there, everybody.
We are inside the beautiful ranch house. It's a canyon house at Spirit Ranch.
That is kind of hard to get right.
Give a shout out to Spirit Ranch for letting us host these out here. It's an amazing venue. It looks great. If you haven't been out here, it's one of the most beautiful venues in Lubbock, I think.
It really
I love
is. It's
playing
got
out
everything
here.
you'd want to be.
Patio's
Trees,
absolutely amazing.
patio, river, peacocks. Yeah, good food. Yeah.
Today we have an amazing guest with you. This guy is a true troubadour. He's one of the better songwriters that I've ever heard. He's a songwriter to me. That's how I would describe you. His musicality is very, very unique, and his voice is so rich. He's got a great tone. We've had the great opportunity of working with Jim on a few things and being able to watch him play. And we've got Jim Dixon with us today. Jim, thanks for being here,
Jim.
brother.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So glad we were able to get you.
Well, what an exciting project.
I know.
Yeah,
Man.
songwriters for songwriters and Lubbock music for Lubbock music. I love it.
Yeah, you kind of inspired us to do the whole songwriting thing.
Oh, well.
Really, whether you knew that or not, I don't know.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
But,
We saw your show that you had going on out there, and
well, I love hanging out with songwriters. And
Yeah.
Creatives are fun. So, you know.
yeah, we love your work. And
We're
we're
all-
so glad that we're able to get you while you're in town.
Yes, well, it's good to be.
Just-
You
are
know,
you-
this is where the music scene here. I've never found any place on earth that's quite like Lubbock. So
It's pretty unique,
So
isn't it?
I
It's
call it
unique.
home base. You know, so for me, this is more home than I guess anywhere is right now. So, but at least it's a great place to learn and study the craft. You know, there's
Yeah.
plenty of room for it, and it's a forgiving town, so they forgive you for the mistakes you make along the way.
Absolutely,
You know, out beyond here, they call it the Great Incubator.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, they call it.
Is that right?
Yes,
Wow.
they do. They call it Lubbock's the Great Incubator. So
So are you from here, Jim, originally?
I was actually born here, but I never got to live here until until here recently. So
Where'd you grow up at?
well, Hobbs, New Mexico,
Okay.
mostly. That was home base for me. That's where I had my studio, and I worked out of there and traveled about from there and cover bands for 30 years, and that was home base. So.
Wow. And then you ended up here.
Yeah, well, Brandon Adams drugged me here. You know what I mean? I ran into him in Midland, Texas, at a songwriter thing, and we became friends. And he said, "You've ever been to Lubbock?" And I'm like, "That's kind of the mystery land when you live 5 miles across that border. It's so weird. There's no Texas radio there, and when you cross that border, Texas radio and independent radio becomes very thin. So
Very
So
interesting.
you can get it right
didn't know
there, staticky on the in Hobbs, in unison, all up on the border of it. So, yeah, so it was a whole new experience for me to get to come and play music. And my first question to him was, I didn't know who he was or who Red Shahan was or any of the guys I was hanging out with. I had no idea they were, very popular songwriters. And I was like, "You guys really make a living just playing your songs?" And they were like, "Yes."
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with you
I'm
guys.
doing
I'm
it.
like, what?
Yeah.
And I happened to be playing a cover room and blending my songs and cover songs and a little tacky bar, and after the gig I'd wandered into their gig, and from there they brought me here, and I just didn't want to leave. Recorded a record at Amusement Park and at Mount Vernon, and they played a little bit of it on the radio, and that was helpful. That was inspiring.
Wow.
Yeah.
How long have you been writing songs?
Since I was 9.
Since you were
Yeah,
9. Do you
yeah.
remember the first song that you wrote?
Yes, I do. It was called, smoking Maui Wowie, This when I was 13. I added this verse. So, but so only one
I
don't
said you were
remember.
9.
I don't remember the one at 9, but I do remember the one at 13. Right?
Okay.
So anyway, smoking Maui Wowie, thinking about Hawaii, pina colada in my hand. I took a trip on a sailing ship, and I'm not sure if I'm coming back again. I want to sail seashells by the seashore. Ain't that crazy? So my feet to the shifting sand, and the rest I probably should probably stop there, you know. But yeah, the fact I
You play
remember
the
that's
extended
pretty
version
good.
for us later.
No, I don't know. It gets seashells by the seashore from there, you know. Don't know. Come a long way.
But wow, 9, that's a pretty young age.
Well, and my mom she would plunk around on the piano, and I would make up these melodies in the background, and she, you know, and that was the first time she was like, you know, that's what they do. That's how you do that. And I was just, the whole world opened up. I knew what I wanted to do from there. But up till that point, I wanted to be an admiral, so in the Navy. So till the age of 9 or 10.
Quite a career
about that.
change.
I wrote a song and they're like, Yeah.
So
it sounds like your mom encouraged you then.
Well, my dad was also a musician. He died when I was teenage years and all that too. So, you know, the only thing I knew how to do was play music. So I went right to work. And the options in my day were oil field or 5-night-a-week bar gig. For me, anyway, that was about it. So
You made a good choice.
Well, the high school would encourage you to get the oil field job, and they had a whole side program and VOCOR to get you knowed up and ready for the oil field. And dropping out a little bit early, that's okay too. You might as well go to work, you know.
You know, it's rare
That's,
to find somebody who's been a musician their whole life.
Well, you know, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I guess I do get to claim that spot.
But I mean,
This
it's
is
your
all I've ever done.
occupation. You know, I mean, that's impressive that you've been able to maintain it.
Well,
though.
for all musicians, I think what goes along with that is you know, you learn to run live sound. You know, maybe you go do some lights on the side. You work as a roadie. You know, maybe you take a gig. You know, I mean, but you always got that side hustle and that side gig. And for me, you know, I wouldn't have been able to own a studio had I not worked at the local honky tonk in the 5-night-a-week sit down bar gig and got a check for that. So, you know, and from there, and
is
I
that
worked
kind
as
of
a
where you
bassist.
learned to run sound? Was in those venues playing those honky tonks?
Well, you know, shoot, I suppose. My brother was a lot smarter than me and showed me many, many things. And it was fortunate enough, like Ryan Bingham lived down the street from me, so he was one of our early guinea pigs, and some other lovely people like Hillary Rosetta Smith out of Albuquerque, famous, phenomenally good jazz singer. And you know, and I didn't know anything. I wished we could have gone to college. I mean, the whole idea to open a studio for me and my brother was, well, we'll learn it as we go. And I suppose we did, you know.
Trial by fire.
Yeah, we did. We had we did. So.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, it's been an interesting journey. You know, but the whole thing was too, every path I went down, the whole path from day one was go be a songwriter. And how do you do that? You look at other guys and their careers will be so different. How do you do that? And you just jump in, you'll figure it out along the way and go see how other people are doing it maybe. And so I don't guess there's a method or anything to that. It's just get her done.
That's right.
I don't know, so.
How many songs have you figured you've written since you were 9?
I have a bunch. I have like, you know, I have 60 that you'll catch me playing if I'm out, you know, because I get bored of my own, so I switch them out. So,
yeah.
But I can do 3 hours of just all original music and generally switch
for that day.
those out. Well, I did too. And I'm going to tell you, well, since I got back to town, since I come out of last year, and a lot of reason I wound up at that gig where we met at my hosting gig was, that's enough, Jim. I have buckets of songs, hundreds, like literally catalogs full since a very young age, and I've still got notebooks from those years. I mean, and I think, you know, I've been very dedicated to that, but what's been missing is the language of music, having a conversation and playing along with someone. And I kind of had exited that out of my life for probably far too long. You know, and in the pursuit of this songwriter craft and getting there. And when I wrapped up last year and I did a whole 2 years of just my songs, before I guess I was kind of, you know, milking in and out covers. But when I did 2 years straight and didn't play a single cover song, I went, okay, now you're just a man in a conversation, alone having a conversation with yourself at this point. You know, just share that, you know, and I miss that. So I pull the old bass out, and I want to go plunk around in somebody's cover band, and I want to do other things more than what I've been doing. Of course, writing is of course what I do.
Could we hear it? Would you play one for us?
Well, you like Tonto quite a bit.
I
You
do
seem
like
you
Tonto.
like that quite a bit. So I think,
Is there a story behind this song?
yeah, there actually is. My friend gets on to me about this song. There's a line that says "kill all the lawyers," but I always think about my early Native American sitting out there, and some guy rolling in and gets off his horse or whatever, and with the papers, and hands the chief these papers and says, get off this is our land now. And from their perspective, we'll just kill that guy and we don't have a problem. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But this is mostly about my childhood and my brothers and growing up. And so what we did is we watched The Lone Ranger and we watched Tonto, and we played outside right directly after. You reminisce, reciting fables. I run out of rhymes. I spill poetry on the table and you'd say, kill all the lawyers, stop the great debate. I get tired of listening what people say they hate. If we could be cowboys, I would be a Tonto, just in case your hero doesn't show. There's an old man on the front porch, Lord only knows what he knows. Been sitting around here bitching. He's tired of getting old, but he lights up on those days when his kid comes around. He reach behind her ear, he'd pull out a coin and he'd say, "This one's you need of money. It's 2 for the show. It's 3 'cause you're ready. 4 just in case your hero doesn't show." And we'd say, "Hi-oh, Silver Way." I say, "Silver Way." Where do you believe in this? Magic's not all that. And the only hero here looks like a rabbit in a hat. So let's turn up the TV, a step too late. Throwing popcorn at these villains, man, that's who we hate. And if we could be cowboys, I would be a Tonto, just in case your hero doesn't show. Silver Way, Silver Way.
Beautiful.
Nice.
Thank you. That one's been with me for a long time.
Yeah.
Like, it's been my every when I get down, I think, man, you can't write songs. You're terrible. That song I know you wrote that song, Jim. That's a pretty good
That's
song.
why we all do that to
That's a
ourselves.
pretty good song.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's
So,
funny how,
And that's-
as musicians, we beat ourselves up over it.
I think we should.
I think I just heard the term recently. It's called the imposters syndrome. That we think that we're imposters and that we don't believe that we're really doing anything worthy or good.
I'll
that
just
people
say
are going to figure
this:
it out.
if I tell you
pathetic.
on the rare times where I've impressed myself, and I went, "Wow, that's a really good." It's like I think "Shine," if the lyrics to "Shine" are definitely something, and I can't take credit for it. I just really can't, because I mean, even though I know I spent months working on this song and several others that kind of fall in that category, I just feel like I'm its caretaker, and it came through me from somewhere else,
Sure.
because I'm just not that cool. I can't, I don't know how else to do
You're a
it. That's
vessel.
just how I see it. Like, I think it takes a lot of pressure off. I don't have to be a perfect human. You know what I mean? It's not me. I'm just the caretaker. I'll just, they're my
It's a great
backpack,
way to
and
look at it.
we're going to go show them around because they're my responsibility.
They do become,
now.
I feel like songs, not just, all songs, they get created by whoever writes them and comes up with them, but then they become a living thing all their own, and they become everybody's because, like I might be in the car singing one of your songs because now it's my song too.
Don't you love how that happens too?
Yeah.
And a lot of times too, a song can be how someone interprets it is.
Yeah.
And I get
yeah.
asked a lot. I don't know if you do with your original works, but I get asked a lot. Where'd that song come from? And I just refuse to say.
Sometimes I don't like to say either.
Well, because
honestly.
if I make this stuff up.
Yeah, it's a story.
It's a story. My job is to make stories up. Of course, a lot of that comes from hard life and lessons learned, and there's a lot of truth in between every other line is an absolute.
Yeah.
So I got asked about this song last night, and where it came from, and it's kind of one of those. And fortunately, this sad story, I didn't have to live through it. I kind of got to take this from
Is this She Hates My Guitar?
Yeah, I was.
I kind of got to take this from what I had seen around me with single dads, and our world, it's all musicians, so it's single dads, musicians trying to raise their children, and it just hit me as that thing that I needed to do real bad, and if it wasn't my life, but I do know, I have met girls that said, she hates my guitar. She loves it when I sing. Every night I'm on the road, she hopes I break a string. She hates my guitar. I can't give up on this dream. You'll always be daddy's little girl. Your mama felt the same. She hates my guitar. I wrote a song when you were born. I gently hum the melody. I'd rock you in my arms. I know you don't know where I go, or really who I am. I can't make your mom understand. She hates my guitar. Loves it when I sing, even when it's on the radio. It doesn't change a thing. She hates my guitar. More than these wedding rings. Guess we're not what she wanted. She curses the damn thing. She hates my guitar. I know life ain't fair. I curse the things I can't change. For you I'll always be there. It's okay if you hate this guitar, 'cause right now I do too. But we have to face the truth. How can she be so mean? It's only wood and bone and strings. She said her problem's not me. She hates my guitar. She loves it when I sing. And every night I'm on the road, she hopes I break a string.
That's one of my very
Yeah,
favorites.
that's the perfect ending too.
Yeah.
Like that last line is perfect.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, thank you. I like it too. And you know what's really, this song's gotten me. Because, you know, I'm like you. We think what we do doesn't matter at all. You know, I could write a billion songs, and this is just medicine for myself. I guess I'm selfish in my view of it, because this is just medicine for myself that I'm making, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But when I have a big 6'4" dude, like for 200 pounds, Jim, that song made me cry. Like, me and my wife are together now because of you. And we heard that song, and we had to have a talk, and like, and that's happened on more than one occasion, and it's just that to me is blows my mind. It's for the reminder that,
It is a good reminder.
you know, we're
isn't it?
all connected. You know,
Yeah.
we're all connected in
That's
that
right.
space. It's not.
I'll tell you what I'm enjoying here is you stripped down. I mean, if you haven't seen or listened to Jim's live show, it's amazing. He's an incredible guitar player.
No,
and
I'm
what
not.
you do in your live show, not many guys can do. I mean, it's a very talent. But I'm loving the stripped down version of these songs. It's really, really, really good.
Well, I study, you know, I kind of got, about that song Shine, you know, I wrote that and released that record, and I just kind of went crazy. I went out in the Utah desert for 17 days and on an overlanding trip. I was gone for 2 months with my friend, and because I just kind of went crazy, because I kind of hit the wall with me. And I was like, you know, those are, if I'm going to continue forward, I looked at those words and I said, if I'm going to continue forward, I need to be a better musician, because if I'm going to tell a bigger story and a better story, I need better context. I need to be a better musician. I need more depth. I need more theory, and I need more training, because, and I know this is going to start a controversy, but 3 chords and the truth is great when it's a simple truth, but when the truth is quite complicated. When the truth becomes very complicated, and like most truths are, you know, I needed to increase my depth. So being in Lubbock, that's why I'm here, is to study and the craft. And so fortunate to have a friend like Brian McRae, who's just probably one of the most phenomenal musicians I know.
Agreed.
I take a lesson every chance I see him. You know,
we actually caught the show where you had him sit in on your songwriter showcase, and we were blown away.
Yeah, we
man.
were like,
You two
we're hearing
together.
some of the best music you hear in the
Absolutely.
world right here tonight. in
that was
Lubbock,
incredible.
Texas. Yeah.
I sit there in utter panic.
It didn't seem like it.
Play well, you know, because the bar's high playing with somebody of that caliber.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but he's my producer, and he's
He's an
made
amazing
all-
teacher from what I hear, as
He's
far
made
as
all my
theory
records.
and I mean,
yes, you know, and I'm fortunate to, and it's not like his profession is teaching. It's just if you're lucky enough to get a minute with him, I mean, and, you know.
Yeah. You said all your records, so how many records are out there?
I have
to
three.
be-
I have 3 EPs. You know, just like Broken Marquee was the first, and that was kind of a split studio thing between Amusement Park and Mount Vernon. And then most everything after that has been Broken Marquee has like 4 or 5 cuts on it, something like that. And then my next record was Welcome to Babylon, which has 5 cuts on it, and She Hates My Guitar on there.
Is that okay?
And that project just came about kind of an odd way. It's like, you know, the thing I like about Brian as my producer and working at that smaller studio, kind of the off-grid studio, is, you know, I'm really there to learn and work. I'm not trying to make a, you know, big time go famous record.
Right.
I love the craft of music, and I love being surrounded by these brilliant people, Alex Sanchez and these guys are just so good, and you know, it's my world, and I love that. So, but and even along the way, I dropped tunes in the studio, and we kind of just compiled them together one time. When I wrote She Hates My Guitar, we realized we ought to get this out there. And we kind of threw it on this other record that it probably shouldn't have been on that record. But it's called Welcome to Babylon, and it has I'm on a Roll, Welcome to Babylon, She Hates My Guitar is on there, The Ride, and Unlucky Horses, those are kind of really odd. Unlucky Horses and The Ride are kind of really odd songs, you know, so to be on kind of that country feel record.
so you're
And then
kind of
Earthbound would be the third one that's out.
that's the one right now that's available on your website.
No, that's another one I have out.
Okay.
It's just a 3-song EP. It has a song Earthbound for it, which it's a Pour the Poet Through the Pen. A lot of people know it that way, but a song called Earthbound Shine's on there, and golly, I have one more song on there, and I can't remember what the name of it is. Oh, yeah, Help Will Come Along is on, I think, on that record too, I think. A
And you've
song
got
written by Dallas Owens.
Okay.
Golly, a great songwriter.
And you've got a fourth
It's not there
album
anymore.
that's available on
Yeah,
your
and then I have
website,
a full
right?
album, full that took me. I worked on it all through the pandemic, and it's
What a
my,
perfect time to work on something like that.
And I was able to, there was songs when I came to town that I thought were better than what I had recorded, but I wanted for years to hang on to them, like Dance with a Memory, and until I felt like I was in a place to do that in the right creative space. So I waited years for that song, to put that song in. I wrote a bunch for it, like It's Not Safe Out Here, and The Wilds
I
Are
like that one
Calling
too.
You.
Yeah.
I know. I'll
Yeah.
just play a little bit of it.
Okay.
Just to... I'll do the abbreviated version. It's not safe out here. There's a red flag in the yard. We all want bazookas. We want self-driving cars. The world's ablaze. We're walking through the flames. It's not safe out here. Just built a rocket for Mars. It's got a bumper sticker. Says billionaires on board. And ain't it a shame? You let it get this way. It's not safe out here. The weatherman said go on. Lock your windows, lock your doors, and just stare into your phones. Wait for the all clear. Uh-oh. It's not safe out here. Well, Anthony Bourdain is gone, and I guess we got scared when we turned the TV on, and the apocalypse was on. Uh-oh. It's not safe out here, well.
I love the cameo appearance by Anthony Bourdain.
I did too.
Yeah.
You know, I rewrote that song a bunch. I rewrote that song. That song and I hardly ever do that. But that song, you know, I wrote it like while all the craziness was going on, and like I just, you know, I just kept adapting it. And but that clobbered me when, you know.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
clobbered me, and I thought, man, I'm going to timestamp this. So I realized this song will be dated in a year from now, but in the future it'll matter.
That's
People
right.
say, who was he?
Yeah, I caught that. I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're kind of living the nomad life right
Yeah,
now, aren't you?
yeah,
Tell us a little bit about what you're
The dream.
doing. And
That was a brave. I don't know. I'm still working on it. People ask me about it all the time. For years though, I would head out in my Jeep. It's not something you just go do. You got to work up to this level. You know what I mean? I want to say this level of stupidity, but you know, you got to have a passion for it, for the suffering, because there's plenty of it. But years before I got the bus, the Abigail, I'd boogie out in the Jeep. You know, I had my apartment, and, you know, and I'd leave my dog with my roommate, and I'd head out, and I could started out a few days, and I got where I could go a week or 2 weeks, and I just camp in my Jeep. No, I hate motel. Even if the club gave me a motel room, I mean, you spend all night long staring out the window. Your gear's in the truck, you know. I mean, you just keep, you know, it's like so many things can go wrong. And after I had my buddy taught me some great overlanding skills, and I was never a Boy Scout, and I'm really not an outdoorsy guy or really all that brave, but I learned enough, and I really just fell in love with that lifestyle and on the road. And then I started booking myself in appropriate places, or Colorado and tourist places, and that helps a lot with that. And then I kind of got to a point where I was I was literally keeping my apartment from a dog, and I was like, man, if I only had my dog with me, I just wouldn't come home. And I for years kept saying that. So during the pandemic, as a bus, I looked at this thing a million times, and and no hope of ever being able to afford it, but I still would stop in and visit with this old man who obviously couldn't sell it either after a couple of years. And right at the very worst of the pandemic, like when it just seemed the whole world was falling apart, he was like, you know what, kid, I'm sick of you stopping in here. And then I just stole it. The amount was so low, I still can't.
That's amazing.
And I spent the rest of the pandemic fixing it up and spent way too much money. And it'd been a smart play just to go park it somewhere and live in it in my little tiny home. But I, of course, want to go travel the world and spent the rest of the pandemic getting it road ready and fun to live in. Yeah.
I think that's the perfect life.
Well, I had to really talk myself into it. I said, well, what am I going to do? Stay out this? What art am I going to see? What's going to inspire me staring out this apartment window in Lubbock, Texas?
Yeah.
I mean, I already wrote a song called "The Wind," and you know what I mean. Like,
change of scenery.
What am I going to do? I'm just going to have to be brave and go see what's out there, and let's just go see if I can inspire myself, and let's write some songs, and let's live. Let's see what's out there.
Did you have a plan of where you might be going, or did you just take
Well,
off?
I grew up in that turf, in New Mexico and Ruidoso and Hobbs, and I kind of got turf I've laid out over 40 years of doing this. So I knew I knew I could work, maybe. And plus I don't do what I make way more money playing bass in a cover band. Let's just put it that way. Like what I do is odd. It's not always, especially when you get out there, especially outside of Lubbock, what makes Lubbock unique. We're a town full of songwriters. There's a bunch of cats cooler than me around here. You know what I mean? But you get out there, and in most places are cover rooms. Most bands are cover bands. Everybody wants to write songs, and everybody's got them. And I try to go to little places like that and get all their songwriters to come out and
That's cool.
Try to inspire a culture of that.
And that's one thing that I respect about you so much. Not only your musicality and your songwriting, but how you embrace other musicians, and how we met you at the Silver Bullet on your songwriter showcase night that you have. And you just embraced us and let us play. And,
oh, man.
Yeah,
those guys,
that's
Henry
the first
and
time
those
that
other
we
guys.
played our stuff.
Other than live.
Brought
Yeah.
it at home, yeah.
Well, Lubbock's a
perfect.
very magical town in that sense, man.
It is.
You get out there, what I call past the perimeter, and you better be ready. You better be ready to fight for it.
Yeah.
You got to hold
takes guys
stand
like
your ground, hold your own out there.
But it takes guys like you loving on other musicians.
Well,
and we try to
can't
do
it
that
alone.
too. I think that's important.
Well, some of the most inspiration I've had has come from other musicians, and that's why to be in Lubbock, because at least they make a stop through here.
Yeah.
I think as a young artist, you come to town, it's got such a great reputation, the incubator. You get your 4 years, and you can go on from there. It doesn't really matter, but those people you'll meet in that time span are with you for eternity. You know what I mean? And they're out there doing their craft, and so
Yeah, there's it's a lot of camaraderie here.
Right. But there's nothing more. My life, like camp out in a vineyard, got a 2:00 Mickey in the tasting room. Nobody knows my name. I'm going to go in there and play some songs, and and tourists are going to come in and buy. There's all kinds of music out there you can find yourself in. So
How far do you plan to go? Or do you have
I've
go to
done.
Alaska?
I'll be in Pagosa Springs looking for that, and I'm really hard unless changes. I can't make any. That's the thing about nomad life. You absolutely
don't make no plans. Yeah.
You just got to be flexible, and you kind of have what you thinking. But dude, and then it's on a daily basis. It's on a daily basis.
You may get a call and need to be in Colorado.
Well, plus too, you roll into somewhere you think you're going to get to a camp there, you can't stay there. It's booked or it's closed, or there's no electricity's not working, or then you got to move over to this spot and get that. And I'll knuckle down. I knuckle down all through winter here in Lubbock at a spot. I don't always travel, and I try to make it sensible. And I'll go park the bus in a central location and jump in the Jeep and play all the gigs in a 150, 200 mile radius and Jeep.
What's the coolest place you've played over the last few months since you've been on the road?
Oh, nowhere. Just nowhere. In the woods by myself.
I've never heard of that.
A place called In the Woods by myself.
Is that a new place?
Well, it's just, to me, I love such oddball venues. And you never know what the night's going to be that inspires you. You play that gig 4 times and nobody shows up, and you're dreading it, and then that one night is just magical and awesome. Yeah. So I have my faves. I really do, but
That's part of the mystery.
It's work.
Yeah.
It's work for a reason.
That's
They call it work for a reason. And as much as I love writing and performing, that's a different deal. This is, to me, when I'm performing, to me, my goal is to see if what I'm writing is working on you.
Exactly.
That's it. That is it. That's where my interest in going out and performing pretty much ends.
Absolutely.
But I don't know if other guys are so much better performers than me, and I admire them. I like James Cook and these guys, and they're so dramatic and like they have such cool upbeats. I kind of have my own niche where I fit.
Well, that's right. We can't all be the same. We can't have the same sound. That's what's great about music and people in general. You do what you do perfectly. You do have a good stage presence.
You're a
You have a
craftsman.
great show.
Well, thank you.
So does what's his face here? You just said. I
But
didn't even hear what you said.
I had to watch guys that were really good. Like I saw Giovanni. He's got the #1 song on radio right now. He popped into the Blue Light last night, and he was just such a
keep hearing
natural.
about him.
He's
Yeah.
such a natural. Just personality performer. Before
He's a
he even
showman.
sang a lick, I was like, "This is cool." And then like 4 or 5 years later, he gets. So I watch guys and I kind of emulate. So maybe it's not my niche, but I trips down to Austin and see cats that do this, what I do every night, and
absolutely.
the stories between them and how they get in and out of that stuff. And, that's the reason the gig my host gig at the other venue was so important to me, because I was like trying to create a space where we solo cats could work on our 45-minute, 1 hour
Yeah.
opener. That way we could jump out there and start getting them opening gigs for bigger artists. It's a
Right.
good fit. And I needed somewhere to work on that at. So
great.
I kind of assumed everybody else did too. And I loved your show last night. That was so fun.
Thank you. We loved
That
your
was
show last
so
night.
fun.
Yeah.
To get
Thanks
to
for
be
Yeah,
a-
that was
coming.
a good night. We were saying that was a real fun night. Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. You got another one you can take us out with here, Jim?
What are y'all in the mood for? I'd like to show something off my new record.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
How about this one? Based mostly off a true story, except for the part where I'm brave. That part didn't actually happen, so. Where the wild is calling you. Where the wild has been calling you. I heard you last night, your silhouette, and I saw you. You were howling at the moon. The lonesome sound woke me now, and I can't stop staring at you. Where the wild is calling you. If you're never lost, you can't be found. There's a rocket ship on the edge of town. There's a silver airstream reflecting the morning. You and a wolf in me. Where the wild, it was calling me to. I heard a laughter coming. Across the way there was a wolf sound calling. Well, that was a howling of a heart in a boondock trailer park. Just morning stars are echoes in the dark. Where the wild is calling you.
Nice. That's
And that's on the new one?
Yeah, you can only hear that on my website, and I've kept it up there. I haven't released that record since the pandemic. I don't think I'm going to. I'm just going to wait and let the world change, and then we'll see what happens.
Tell us where all we can find your music to the people watching and the
Well, you can
listening.
JimDixonMusic.com. You can go to my website, and and it's really there. My friend's working on it right now, but it's generally there. It's just it don't cost you anything. You can subscribe and send me money. That helps being on the road. It's a little subscription, but you can go there and listen to all my works for free. And but you can find me on Apple's, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you buy your music from. Just look for me, Jim.
Have all that
Dixon.
posted.
And what about
SE1.
your gig schedule? Is it on your Facebook page?
I just keep it quiet. Like I usually just post the day I'm showing up in town. Like
How long are you going to be in Lubbock?
I'll be at. I guess this gets aired later, but
Yeah.
But I don't generally. I just follow me on Facebook for that, and where I'm playing at. Like I said, I'm a big fan of little hideout, intimate venues, and yeah.
So here's the question we ask all of our guests, and I know you're going to have a great answer.
Okay.
Somebody, young artist, trying to get into the music business, trying to show their craft and hone their craft, what advice would you give them starting off? What would you tell them to do?
Well, don't. Well, I mean, I want to say don't.
That's exactly
right. Right. I mean, what else can I say,
Yeah.
man? But the truth is, as a long observer of trends and how the world moves and works, I do believe that we are coming up on a point where what we have breaks. Because as an artist, you notice, people like me, I'm not releasing my new record to Spotify.
Yeah.
So grandpas have figured out financing, Little Timmy's record is not going to make famous doesn't equal rich anymore. Yeah. You're literally paying to be popular on these platforms, and the profitability from it is gone. This is unsustainable, and at some point, this going to crack. And then from that, I do believe we have the opportunity for a renaissance of such. And we're digital. What the problem is now is digital ownership. If you make something, it's instantly copied, and there's a billion. There's no rarity to your works. So I believe in the future, there's going to be a shift in that, especially with new AI technology just cranking out more than all of us humans can crank out. Yeah. So we're already in a wash of sound and noise with no rarity or just an infinite source of static. So I think the breaking point brings about a renaissance of such. But that's way in the future. So if I was talking to a 15-year-old about music, I would, I can spot them. Music's a healer, and you're here for the medicine, aren't you?
That's right.
Yes.
Now, I can spot the ones that aren't, and the dad's lifted truck, and I'll point you to the Just Right studio for that guy. But if this is medicine for you, you don't have a choice. So let me help you not get hurt out here, would be my only advice, or just don't. Find something else you love to do as much, and go do that. The world's not a good place for this right now, unless you have some independent wealth and and be popular. I mean, there's guys that are much smarter than me at taking popularity and turning it into profit. That is not me. You know what I mean? I love the craft of music, and I work in that vein. I'd love to see my works in movies and.
That's where I feel like it needs to be.
Well, I think I'm a good fit for that, So I'm gonna be up in Albuquerque. I'll make the runabout in Santa Fe and poke around, and hopefully somebody finds me. I don't really know how to make those things happen. So.
Well, Jim, thank you again for taking the time today, man.
Thank you for letting me share my songs with you guys.
So glad you were in town.
Thank you for being so gracious with us.
Oh, y'all are so sweet. Thank you for having me.
Guys, thanks for watching. This has been another episode of LBK Rhythm and Roots Podcast. I want to thank Jim Dixon again. What an amazing talent.
Oh,
thank you for your time. We know you're a busy guy, but we appreciate it. And these episodes will be aired on the City of Lubbock's TV channel, My LBK Connect. They'll also be aired on the city's YouTube channel as well, and we'll also share those on our social media platforms. So until the next time, we'll see you guys later. Thank you.
Have a lovely day.